So here we have a little bit of a teachable moment, I think, from a ranked game I was in, and sometimes you get these sorts of mismatches where, I'm a Lieutenant Colonel, I was going against the Private Barry, and just look at one thing real quick right here. All of my stuff is moving. Well, practically all of it. The Salamander, I think, is just starting to go, and I have a little bit of base defense as well. And we only have 2 columns, the third one just taking off there. It's been about 25 seconds, and in that 25 seconds, this column could have been probably about here. And there's a huge difference in how your opener is going to go just based off how you get things moving. But that, believe it or not, is the smaller thing that I wanted to talk about today. I think the more important thing to notice is that, well, look at the map control of our 2 different openers, right? Blue has a couple of units going to secure the high part of the town and hotel, basically surrendering Golf. Blue also has a lot of units, including double M1A2 Abrams, headed over to Alpha, seeding Bravo. So keep in mind, ranked is Conquest, and Conquest is based off of zone control. You can entirely win this game while negative in terms of kills, although it is a little bit tricky, sometimes a little bit difficult to do that. And my opponent's opening is meant to defend Alpha. Jeez, that was okay. M1A2s will do that to you. While as mine is meant to attack into Alpha, to contest Golf, to defend over in Foxtrot, like all of this sort of map control is different. And before, I don't want to pick on this guy too much, because I think this was something like his 3rd game ever, which, for that, getting the stuff moving even when he did is very impressive. It's just, keep in mind what game mode you're playing. If you're playing Conquest, fight over the zones. If your opener is not intended to even contest one of the zones that you need to get in order to get the +1, or +2, in this case, Golf and Bravo, on the field, then you should probably reconsider it, just because even if you fight me a little advantageously, and I'm doing it on your side of the map the whole time, I'm happy with that, because, let's say blue grinds out value from red here over the course of about 20-30 minutes, well, okay, I've either already won the game, or I've made it so rough that you're going to have to push really hard in order to get the conquest points to match up. So other than that, little nitpicky things are going to be, this has been parked here for a while, it needs to be unloaded. The M1A1 should not be in a town. Generally, vehicles have trouble pathing through towns, so you'll expose yourself to side armor shots that you otherwise wouldn't have, because you'll sort of be trying to drive through the buildings and out into the open, and it's really kind of messy as well. The other thing too, when your pivads, when any sort of radar anti-air is not in use, turn it off. So if you're new to this game, what this will do for you is basically if your opponent sends in what's called a seed plane, which is an anti-radar missile plane, he won't be able to see your pivads. While as right now, with those guys on, if I had sent in seed right here, I would have been able to basically shoot at long range against these pivads. Now, they're also spotted, and the way you can tell this is, well, they're in the forest, but they're bright. Anything in the forest should be blinking if it's hidden, which actually we don't. Yes, we do. The M109A2, which if you're going to bring this in your opener, you need to use it, is blinking. The pivads are solid. So the pivads are spotted, and the M109 is not. Now, you can't necessarily extend that logic to the M1A2. They're not in anything that should hide them, therefore they're always going to be solid, because that is on you to know whether or not your opponent can see them if they're not in some sort of concealment. So for infantry, that's going to be towns and forest. For vehicles, it's just forest, pretty much. Yeah, so that's all I really wanted to say. We had an example of really a game that it made me sympathetic to the idea that there should be range brackets that shouldn't necessarily fight each other all that often. I mean, I won this game, and I got 1 ELO for it, and Barry lost 1 ELO for it, and he probably learned very little, because, I mean, the game's already lost, right? And I look at replays a lot, and I enjoy looking at replays a lot, and there's a certain point in replays where the points difference or the map control difference is so large, there's really not much left to look at there for what could have gone differently, because everything should have already been different, right? So let's talk about how that should have looked. If you're going to go double M1A2, which I don't advise on this map, they need to be headed into Golf to contest the center of the map, basically. I think it's better just to bring one and bring a bit more support. Secondly, the pivads are not good anti-plane, so having one for anti-helicopter work is quite nice, although 26-25 meter range isn't the longest, but you want to bring something that can destroy your enemy's planes, whether it's your own air superiority fighter or some longer range, something like the Patriot, or maybe the Hawk Pip 2 if you don't entirely enjoy the cost of the Patriot. And you send that with a fair amount of riflemen, as well as some recon infantry and other things, and you go down and you contest square, and you contest the side of Bravo, and you You otherwise bring some infantry into the top section here, maybe a light single unit or two to protect against this, and how would that have looked, right? So if blue did that, and I did my opener into alpha, I would have gotten up here and possibly even been able to make it into this section because there wouldn't have been, you know, big scary tanks killing all my stuff. But blue can reinforce a lot quicker. Well, not a lot quicker, but a little bit quicker into here and consistently into the backwoods and to the side. And in the meantime, you just take the M1A2 and you bull right through. So you take square, you take triangle, and now if we look at this, if blue has golf, red has Bravo Alpha, blue has contested Foxtrot, yeah, that's not great, but it's not horrible either. And what that means is that basically blue, if blue can fight back for Alpha, then that's going to be the game. And there are many ways to do this as well. If blue controls golf, off the early opener with the M1A2 and a little bit of support, then blue can also attack in through here. And it's very difficult for red, from my experience anyway, to defend Alpha, as well as fend off pincer attacks into Bravo. And keep in mind, if blue controls golf, this is a +2 zone. You get some smoke going, you shoot the gap, you make me defend in Charlie, in red, alright, red defending in Charlie, and there's no way in a heck I'm going to be able to work well in Alpha, if only because I'm going to be from this perspective, and as soon as you go here, I'm going to be microing like this, right? Maybe I'm a little bit scrolled up, but I'm microing like this, and so fine micro over here. I mean, look at this. I can see Charlie. I can't. I mean, I can on the mini-map, but that's not really all that useful for me right now if I need to do fine-tune stuff. So I'm going to have to be scrolling back and forth and trying to split my attention there, or playing maybe sort of like this, and I guess that's a bit more clean, but even so, this is going to be, it's presenting its own challenge and the difference in perspective, right? So that is, I think, how this should have gone a little bit differently. I hope it's helpful to Barry if you see this, or to other newer players, and you're sort of struggling with the opener on this side of the field. Remember, contest the map. The map is what matters as long as you're playing Conquest.